listening to Your Physique Radio in association with IrishMuscle.ie. We are broadcasting worldwide via iTunes, YouTube and Facebook, bringing you the latest in bodybuilding, fitness and nutrition. Your Physique Radio. It's your physique. It's your choice. Alright everybody, welcome along to Your Physique Radio. This is episode number 17. It is September the 21st, 2012. And this is our Olympia preview show. The whole show will be dedicated to that and only that, and we're going to have our predictions and our rundowns and our reasons for. Joining me on the line as always is Craig Clifford. Craig is back home in Ireland. Craig, it's a week out from the Mr. Olympia competition. I'm getting excited. I've got a sweaty palm as I'm getting ready to pack my bags as we speak, even though I'm still a week away from going. But in the meantime, how has your past week been? Any news on the home front for you?
Yeah, well, it's been a good week as far as the Olympia coming up in fast, and you know I'm looking forward to it. It's come very, very quickly from the last few weeks. Looking forward to doing the Olympia preview show actually for a while. But have a bit of bad news as far as my own team goes. Like last night we were broken into, so they got a little bit of money and pretty much destroyed the front doors and the reception of the gym, which isn't great. I mean, just brainless morons, to be honest. Like, they took the money, they could have just left the place. There's no need to turn it upside down. I actually don't understand why they would do that. But look, I don't know. We won't bring the people down listening to my rant. But other than that, it's been a good week. But you know, I'm going to be so happy with the way things are going. Yeah,
absolutely. Hopefully the cops will do their job and figure out what happened or why it happened and who did it, and you know the people at fault will be brought forth and maybe you'll get some of that money back hopefully. But like you said, can't do anything about it now. It's done and dusted. But at the same time, I do understand where you're coming from, and I'm sure our listeners do too. Craig, it is 7 days out. It is Friday today. In 7 days from now, the prejudging for the Mr. Olympia competition will be on stage. There are 24 men qualified for the show. There are 21 to compete as it stands in the open class, and also 21 to compete as it stands in the 212 class. Like you said, we've been looking forward to this show for quite a while now, and coming up a little bit later on, we will give our predictions on who we believe is going to be in the top 6. We'll also read out some of our listeners' predictions as we ask for them on Facebook, and with a couple of guys get back to us and give their predictions, and also on our our forum page on IrishMuscleForum.ie. We've also got a thread going there. Post your top 6 if you're correct for the Open Mr. Olympia this year, on or before next Thursday, so that's going to be the 26th, I think it is. You will receive a €50 voucher for discountsupplements.ie. So if you haven't already done that, guys, get on, predict your top 6. That's forum.irishmuscle.ie, and the location is right there. You will see it under the Mr. Olympia top 6 prediction. Craig, before we get into this year's show, why don't we take a step back and have a look at how the Mr. Olympia all began and when it began, and we'll work our way forward from there. Back in 1965, on September the 18th, the Brooklyn Academy of Music was the venue for the very first Mr. Olympia competition, and none other than the late great Larry Scott took the first place prize. It was basically the step up for Larry from Mr. America and Mr. Universe. They were titles he had previously won. He needed a new challenge, and Joe Weider decided that the new challenge was going to be the Mr. Olympia competition, and that it was an invite only. He invited the best bodies from around the world to compete, and Larry Scott came out on top. Since then, there have been numerous crowned Mr. Olympias, and there's been under 200 pound class, there's been the open class, that disappeared for a while, and now we're back to the 212 class and the open class. And of course, since then, women's bodybuilding has been introduced, fitness has been introduced, figure has been introduced, and bikini. Next year, we believe that physique will be introduced for the ladies, and if it is, so be it. And there's another class and another category for people to compete in and train towards. But since 1965, Craig, Larry Scott took his first place win. Give us an idea of who came in after him and what great names have we seen be crowned Mr. Olympia and hold that Eugene Sandow trophy.
Well, to go through the years, guys, in 1966, the year after, Larry Scott repeated, and then in 1967 in New York, Sergio Oliva won his first one, followed by 68 and 69, Sergio Oliva again. So it was 3 in a row, all in New York. In the 1970, we had a new winner, people know him as Arnold Schwarzenegger, and that was in New York as well. In 1971, it moved to Paris, and that was Arnold. In 1972, it went to Germany, and that was Arnold. And 93, it was, or 73, sorry, it was Arnold as well. New York again. 74 in New York, Arnold. 75 in Pretoria, South Africa, Arnold. And then moved on to a smaller person, Franco Colombo, but just a deserved winner, and that was in Columbus, Ohio. And as I know, I think Arnold in 1975 had called it a day, and he went on to promote the show, so I think that's why he moved to Columbus that time. And then we went on, Frank Zane won it 3 times in a row, all in Columbus, up to 1979. 1980, it's Arnold Schwarzenegger again. He came back in Australia and Sydney, and he won it. 1981, Franco Colombo won his second one. In 1982, with Chris Dickerson, and that was in London. In 1983, with Sanger Benoit, and that was in Munich in Germany. 1984, all the way to 1991, we had Lee Haney, went on a big long run of wins. And that was spread out actually throughout the world. So in 84, his first one was in New York, and then Brussels, Columbus, Ohio, Gothenburg, LA, Rimini, Italy, Chicago, and Orlando. So he won it in a different city every time, which is a pretty cool thing actually. Then we went on to Dorian Yates in 1992, winning his first one in Helsinki, Finland. And then 93, 94, 95, 96, and 97, all Dorians. 3 of them in Atlanta, and then Chicago, and then LA, he won his final one. And then we had Big Ronnie come in 1998. And from here on in, it went in Las Vegas. So I'm not going to call it Vegas anymore. So it was Vegas from here on in. 99, Coleman. 2000, 2001, 2, 3, 4. 2005, Ronnie Coleman won his last one. Then we have a new champ in Jake Cutler in 2006. And in 2007, followed by the Blade, Dexter Jackson in 2008. Again, Jake Cutler wins his third one in 2009 and his fourth in 2010. And then we have Phil Heath, who is the current 2011 Mr. Olympia. So that's a good lineup of winners. Quick question, Colin. I know, I mean, we both love Vegas a lot, but would you like to see it in a different, or not even in a different venue in America, even a different state, maybe even? Would you like the wealth spread around a bit, or do we think like Olympia and Vegas should go together, kind of? So what do you think of that?
Well, you know, for those people who obviously don't live in the States, it would be nice if it changed venues every year. But you know, you got to look at it from not a structural standpoint, but in terms of transportation, and the people when they get to Vegas, they don't just have the Mr. Olympia competition. You know, there's always a show on that you can go to see. There's always something happening at a different venue, a different hotel. They have the facilities there. They have enough hotels in town that the prices don't just go through the roof because there's a big event in town. You know, you can still get a hotel for $50 or $60 for the night. Whereas if this event was to happen in Dublin, I guarantee you, if they know there's going to be an extra 25,000, 30,000 people coming to Vegas, or sorry, going to Dublin for the weekend, those hotel prices in that surrounding area would definitely jump up, and you know, that would discourage people from getting there. Plus, with Las Vegas, you're guaranteed nice weather for the whole weekend. You know, you know how you're going to pack. You know, when you get there, you know what you're getting. If you've been to Vegas before, not much changes from time to time that you get there. You know you're going to have a good time. If you can't have a good time in Las Vegas, you can't have a good time. You know, whether you're a gambler or you're a drinker, or you like the nightlife, you like going to shows such as the Cirque du Soleil or any of the comedians that might be online, or Celine Dion, or whoever tickles your fancy. There's always something else to do, so it doesn't have to be just a bodybuilding trip. Plus, in terms of the United States itself, Las Vegas is relatively, you know, it's kind of central, I suppose, for, you know, it's not way down south, it's kind of on the west coast, it's not too far no matter where you are. You're talking a 3-hour flight at the very worst for most of the people, and to be fair, probably 80% of the people who qualify are Americans anyway. So, you know, in the Olympia's mind, if they are inviting 21 people to compete, they have to pay for 21 airfares. So all of the Mr. Olympia guys get their airfare paid for. I believe they get their hotels paid for. And to fly somebody from New York to Las Vegas versus New York to Dublin, Ireland, it's going to save the promoters a hell of a lot of money too. Plus the logistics of moving the show to a different country each year. You know, there's a lot to be done there. There's a lot of extra travel time in between. As a business standpoint, I understand it, and to be honest, as a first-time attendee this year, I'm looking forward to it. That it is in Vegas. I know Las Vegas. I've been there a couple of times now, and you know, I know I'm going to have a good time. So I think it's a good decision on both ends. Of course, it would be nice if it ventured to Europe maybe once every 5 or 6 years, but definitely on an every year basis, I don't see it ever happening again. I think they found their home in Las Vegas is it.
Yeah, I suppose, like, I mean, you said it a while ago, the infrastructure is there.
Yeah.
You know, and the weather, so that's two huge factors, to be honest, like.
Yeah. You know,
especially the infrastructure, and the airport is pretty much on the strip, so it's dead handy. There's no travel time. It's especially for your bodybuilder type people who are going to be coming to watch this. Some of them might be bringing food or whatever, so I suppose it just works out very handy.
Yeah, because I mean,
is there, like.
What venue in Ireland other than the RDS could hold I don't know how many people pass through, or 20,000 people must pass through the doors every day of the expo.
Yeah.
You know, that's a lot of people, and if you go to the RDS, you know how bad traffic can be in that area alone. So, you know, that would just be a complete nightmare structurally. If a concert happens in Dublin, the whole city almost shuts down. It's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's I think the infrastructure is there, the transportation is there, the hotels are there, the standard, you can pay a lot of money, you can do it on the fly, you can do it cheap. You know, it's always up to the person individually, and you can go there fairly reasonable. The most expensive part of the trip for me is actually the ticket to the Olympia itself. You know, getting there, I'm going to drive there, I'm going to drive back, I'm staying in the Orleans Hotel. I think it was 120 for the night. So if that's two people, it's $60 each, and that's about 50 euros. So it's not the end of the world. Whereas you probably won't get a hotel in Dublin for that price if there's something special on that weekend. And you know, it's just costly to go to Dublin or to go to London or any of these places, whereas Las Vegas is relatively a cheap place to be, and the food is cheap, alcohol is cheap. You know, you can have a good time for a relatively decent price, as long as you don't go crazy on the slots and on the tables in the gambling areas, you know.
There has been some controversy throughout the years. You know, when the winner is announced, I mean, bodybuilding is subjective. So, like in 1980, when a lot of people thought Chris Dickerson should have got the nod in front of Arnold.
Yeah, I did too, actually. I have to say, I thought Chris looked incredible that year, and it didn't happen. Was it Arnold's comeback or what? Who knows? But yeah, disappointing.
I mean, Arnold is my boy. Like, love the guy. He can't do no wrong in my eyes. But if I am honest, I would have to pick Chris Dickerson in 1980. Like, I mean, if I'm honest, I would. Like,
yeah,
you know, simple as that. In 97, Nasser Al-Sambari was favoured for the win, but it wasn't to be. And Dorian taking title number 6, you know? It's, I don't know, it's like Dorian, I think someone said, I think that he had a torn bicep or tricep, and he just didn't look, to me, like the way Mr. Olympia should look, to me, that on that year. It's over probably every other year, not in 97. I think Nasser should have probably taken him that year.
So that's the thing. I mean, last year Jay Cutler came in with an injury and he didn't get his win. He still placed second, but they didn't give him the first place prize. And I think if somebody has a glaring flaw, whether it's their fault or not, they should not be granted that Mr. Olympia crown. It just should not happen.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, absolutely.
You know, no matter, like, even if it happened while on stage, if they're not in the shape and condition that they need to be in, there's no way having one bicep that looks like a balloon versus the other one that looks in shape and condition. That's not symmetry. You know, that's not proportion. Again, it's not his fault, but look, he didn't look as good as he should have. He should not have placed second. The rest of him looked pretty good, but again, the rest, it should be all a balance. The whole body should match, and it didn't. And unfortunately, you know, there have been times past, like you said, Dorian Yates taken in 1997. I wasn't into bodybuilding at the time, but looking back at pictures and video of then, no, I don't think he should have. Nasser should have got it. And you know what? That could have changed that man's life and career in a big way, you know, because he hung around for another couple of years, but then he was gone. And, you know, you saw him come back on the scene last year for a little while in terms of interviews and articles for RX Muscle, but haven't seen him in a while now again.
But I mean, think of 1 year later, in 1998. I mean, Flex Wheeler was the heir to the throne, like, you know? Yeah. And the previous year, Ronnie had placed 9th, you know? And then Ronnie went on in 1998 with his first, like. So if you think the previous year Ronnie came ninth, it'd be like Ronnie Rockwell winning the Mr. Olympia this year.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
You know, it's kind of crazy, like.
Yeah, but I have to say that Ronnie Coleman looked. I don't know if I think he should have won 1998, but he definitely, by the time 2000 rolled around, he was definitely the Mr. Olympia. There was no question. But I would not have been disappointed to have Flex Wheeler take a 1998 win. You know, he has one of those physiques that you just have to admire and have to look at, because he looked incredible, and whether his personality matches his physique, I'm not quite sure, but he on stage looked like a Mr. Olympia champion, and on stage presented himself like a Mr. Olympia champion. Off stage, again, it's a different story, but you know, fantastic physique, and that's all we should be judging. So
yeah, I do think though, in that year, in '98, when Dorian had retired, I think Flex kind of, and everyone knew he was going to win. Ronnie Coleman was ninth, so he probably wasn't even talked about. It was him, Sean Ray, Nasser, these people, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I do think kind of in '98, Ronnie probably did deserve to be Flex Wheeler that day. He looked better, in my opinion. But I think Flex could have won. I just don't think he trained hard enough, because he thought, yeah, you know, I'm going to win, blah, blah, blah.
Possibly,
that's just my opinion, but, you know,
and you know
I
what?
think it took the foot off the pedal a small bit.
Possibly, yeah. And what you just said there now, that you would pick Ronnie and I would have picked Flex, it just shows what bodybuilding is. It's very subjective. You know, one judge will see one thing, one will see another, and we spoke about this very briefly last week about the Nordic Pro, where all five judges' scores whose count all placed the top six guys in the exact same order, and that to me, I don't know whether they're getting it exactly right or they're influenced to get it right. I don't know, but I think it's very unlikely that all six guys, or all five judges, would pick the same six guys in the exact order. I don't think it's happened before, to be honest. It's interesting. That's all I can say. It's interesting.
I totally agree. I think that's too much of a coincidence, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, 2005, Colin, and this is getting closer now to when I started watching bodybuilding and getting really into it. Like, I thought Cutler should have won instead of Ronnie in 2005. Personally, I thought Cutler should have taken his first one then.
Yeah, you see, 2005. So Cutler took a second place, right? Ronnie takes in first. Who was in third place in 2005?
Gustavo Bedell. Was it? No. Oh no. Maybe it was. Was it Gustavo?
I know he had a third place at one stage, alright, but
was 2006?
There's another guy. Yeah, there was Gustavo. I'm looking at it here. Gustavo in third, Cutler in second. I have to say, Gustavo that year looked incredible. That was the following year is the year that we met him in Waterford at the Spring Classic, and that was my first time to see a pro in person, and you know, I was blown away. And he isn't even the biggest guy, you know. And for anyone out there who hasn't met a pro, and we're talking about the very, very good ones, the top 5, top 6 guys out there, or even the top 10 at this stage, they're all big, big men. And to see them in contest shape, not that Gustavo was in contest shape when we saw him, but you know, to see guys in contest shape at that size and that height and body weight, and you know, as much as there might be a big guy at your gym, if he's not an IFBB pro, chances are he doesn't have the same package as some of these guys. Of course, there's always the exception to the rule, and look at Dan Hill. He's one guy who, again, he has an IFBB pro card, something I don't have, Craig, and as far as I'm aware, you don't have one either. But, you know, Dan Hill is going downhill. He's a long way away from being what I would classify as an IFBB professional bodybuilder, regardless of whether he has the card in his back pocket or not.
I know.
It's there are huge variances, and then of course you've got the guys who are retiring. You've got Ronnie Coleman now, who, you know, he's 4 years removed from his last Olympia, and he looks about 15 years removed from it. He's still a big, big man. But you said when you saw him at the guest pose in Ireland a couple of years back that it was almost embarrassing. And I want to say, well, not embarrassing, but disappointing that he's still kind of doing the circuit, looking in the shape he was looking at the time.
Was that Ronnie? Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a bit upsetting, because I mean, I do hold Arnold as like the top of all bodybuilders in my eyes, but running him a close second would probably be Ronnie, and Ronnie might even be the greatest bodybuilder of all time, to be honest. But I was so disappointed. I was like, because I brought a lot of friends from the gym up to see him.
Yeah.
And they heard of Ronnie Coleman, but they weren't into it as much as me. But we all got in the car. There was 4 of us, and we went up to Limerick. And they were kind of like, oh yeah, he's massive, like, but really, I was distraught. I was actually upset looking at him. I was Ronnie Coleman. It was great to see him in the flesh and great to meet him, and he was a good guy. But my God, no. I won't even say anymore. It wasn't good. It wasn't good to see, to be honest.
You know who was the best guest poser in terms of their condition and size that we saw, or that Ireland has seen in the last 3 or 4 years at least, or 5 years? It would have to be Dennis James.
Yeah, definitely.
He was 2 or 3 weeks after his Olympia show, and he looked fantastic. He was big, he was lean. He always wasn't in stage shape, but he could have stood up on stage and still placed probably top 5. He looked huge, and I mean, that guy, he's another guy now who, Craig, is technically retired, but with the Masters Olympia coming around in December, he's technically qualified for that, and I'm sure he has an invite to go to it, and that's in Miami, Florida. And you know, Dennis James, I saw a picture that he posted about 2 days ago of him hanging out here in Phoenix at the pool, and dude, the guy's a monster, you know.
he's still incredible, like, he's actually still incredible.
Yeah. He's I'm gonna have to try and meet up with him, because he's here. He trains at one of the gyms. I haven't been to it yet, but a couple of the pros here in Phoenix train at this particular gym, and I'm gonna have to go along someday and just get a chat with him and see what's happening, because the guy he's in too good a shape not to be thinking about competing again. He's still big. He's obviously still training hard and eating hard and doing his sideline stuff, we'll call it. He's still a threat on the pro stage, and you know, we've mentioned him. He's always the guy who looks fantastic a couple of weeks out in the gym. I don't know who he has to work with, but somebody out there can surely get him into that shape on stage and give it one more blast, because he doesn't give up size to anyone. You know, he's a big guy.
I mean, like, a lot of people call him the Mr. Olympia in a tank top, you know?
Yeah. Because
he looked unbelievable a couple of weeks out before the shows. Now, he still looked brilliant at his shows. But plus, I think what Dennis James has, as far as any bodybuilder I've ever met, and I've met and I've talked to a lot now through shows and so on, Dennis James for me is just the nicest of guys. Like, he gives you the time of day, he listens to you, he talks back, he's not waiting to sign the next card, he's just chatting. It's just like chatting to a guy you just met in the street and just shooting the breeze. He's a really cool guy, I think, anyway. It might be different to other people, but every time, I think I've met him 3 times now, and every time I've met him, we've actually had like proper conversations, like.
Yeah, because that one time in Limerick, was it in Limerick, alright, wasn't it? That
Limerick,
Dorian was there, I think, that same time. And you know, afterwards, when we were all kind of filing out afterward, you know, he was hanging around in the lobby, and he sat down and he took some pictures with us, and he wasn't kind of, I don't know, he wasn't big-headed or too proud or whatever. He was there to put on a show, and you know, if you wanted to get a photograph with the guy, you got it, and he signed your autographs, and you know, he was a good guest poser. And being the biggest guy up there, or being the most cut guy, or whatever it is, isn't always what the fans want. They want somebody that they can feel they can have a conversation with, and personality goes a hell of a long way when it comes to being a successful person in life, and definitely in bodybuilding, because there's a lot of pros out there who are not the best, but you know, they would get back to their fans. And Jay Cutler was one of these guys for years and years and years. He was always placing second, but he always had the business aspect, and he'd always reply to his emails and send you gear, and he'd sign it, whatever it was, and put some sort of note on it, and you know, you'd get your DVD in the mail, and you know, you'd be happy to get it, and you'd be delighted to get it. And remember, actually, Craig, one time we went down to a shop in Cork building a body, and I think I paid €30 for a Jay Cutler training DVD, ripped to shreds. And it was a copy. Like,
actually rip.
Yeah. I got ripped to shreds is what happened. But you know, look, guys got to make a bit of money. I don't know if that store is still open in Cork, but
it's long gone.
Yeah, but imagine, Craig, we had to drive all the way to Cork to buy some supplements.
Oh man,
isn't that crazy? And that was only 5-6 years ago. It was about 6 years ago. We had to
I
drive
suppose
all the way to Cork.
To the country and to the gym owners and shop owners that we have supplement shops and supplements for sale in most gyms. Well, not in Kerry, but in most gyms anyway.
Yeah.
they sell supplements, and they should. Like, the supplements are a big part of training, a big part of weight training and in diet and weight loss and whatever. Supplements can be your best friend, like,
and
if they're used properly, you know.
And a business point, you can make money from selling them too, of course.
Absolutely,
you know,
and you know what? There's a big markup in supplements. I mean, you could charge top dollar and make a lot of money. Like, I like to think I don't make as much money, but then again, I do sell it a lot.
Yeah.
I kind of the Ryanair style of it. I'll sell a lot for something and make 5 cents, rather than sell one thing and make 3 cents. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So no, I and plus as well, look, my customers get a cheaper product. It's actually cheaper to buy it off me than it is to buy it directly from Connecticut or whatever. So, you know, it works out for me, it works out for them.
Yeah, I think it's one part that is definitely not utilised now. Sometimes here in the States, depending on the gym, and if they're very corporate, they won't sell supplements because sometimes there's legal ramifications from it and whatever else. But it's different back home. I mean, you can sell whatever you want back home, which is great. Because at the end of the day, as far as I'm concerned, if somebody wants to buy something, it's their choice to go and buy it. You know, if somebody wants to walk in and buy a tub of protein, I'm going to hand them a tub of protein and take their money, regardless of anything else going on in the background. If they want it, they're making a conscious decision. It's their choice. Let them do it. I don't think that the person who sells it should be responsible. Now, if it's alcohol or cigarettes and it's this and whatever, but I suppose as far as Ireland's concerned, protein is almost as bad as alcohol and cigarettes, if not worse, according to some of this crap you hear about these D4 college rugby or secondary school rugby teams that are taking protein and it's beefing them up and all this kind of crap, and it's as strong as steroids, and give me a break. It's unbelievable. I can't. It pisses me off so bad, man. I don't know. I have to leave the topic.
Deep breath.
Oh my God. For those American listeners or English listeners or Australian or any of the other international people out there, what we're talking about, a couple of years back, somebody from some newspaper, whatever, did a report on a high school or a secondary level school rugby team in Dublin in Ireland, and apparently the coach was encouraging the kids to buy protein powders and creatine, and whatever reason, whether it's moral or not, the kids find they're under 18 years of age, but they can go in and buy this stuff over the counter anyway. There's no age requirement or age restriction on this stuff.
They can buy it online if they're 2 years old.
Yeah,
and they can buy a laptop.
So as far as I'm concerned, the coach is saying, guys, if you want to build more muscle, you got to eat more protein. The easiest way is typically by powder. If you want to increase your muscle saturation with hydration, you know, creatine is going to help you out there, help improve endurance, and you know, it's this got a big huge write up and was on all the radios, and protein was literally compared to steroids in terms of the harmful effects of it, and it was just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. They're so far behind the times. I don't even think the clocks turn anymore in Ireland. It's just ridiculous.
It's still 1968 here, like.
Man, it's crazy. You need some forward thinking people. You need young sports physiologists or personal trainers who are qualified and recently certified and have the education and the experience, and nutritionists who are also on board with the fact that, look, these people want to improve their performance and their abilities. They don't just want to be eating their food pyramid or whatever they're going to be on. You know, you go into every primary school in Ireland and you've got a food pyramid stuck up in the back corner telling you to eat 6 loaves of bread a day and 25 apples and 16 oranges, and you know, man, the poor kids would be hauling around 5 ton of fruit every day in their school bag if they were going to make that for lunch every day. Give me a break.
What have you got for lunch today? I have diabetes.
Oh man, yeah, it is ridiculous. And you know what, I will say, here in America, the Americans will say to me, you know, what's it like back in Ireland? Are people still, you know, are they active, or is overweight an issue? And I say, you know what, obesity is just as big an issue in Ireland as it is here in the States, and they genuinely don't believe that, but it truly is.
They've added 1 extra grain to the food pyramid since 2011.
Oh God, another one.
Yeah.
The last thing people need to eat is more food.
7 grains a day, or 6? Is it 6 now or 7? But they did add 1 anyway. Whatever that is, so.
Yeah. They've changed the food pyramid here in the States. It's now a plate. So the food pyramid is now obsolete, or should be, and it's a dinner plate, and it's sectioned off into different portions, which makes more sense. As in, when you
that
look
does
at
a bit more sense.
when you look at the plate, it's whatever amount of carbohydrates, it's whatever amount of fats and proteins, and of course that's a very, very generic thing. And if you're competing or you're trying to lose weight or whatever it is, you need to modify all of these things, and depending on how your body responds, you will also need to modify. But at least they're slightly starting to move forwards a little bit, but it's a long, long way from home. And speaking of long, long way, Craig, we're going a long, long way off topic here. So let's roll back to the Mr. Olympia competition itself.
Actually, where was I? Okay, so 2005 we were talking about, and we move on to 2007, and pretty much 90% of the auditorium thought Victor Martinez had beaten Jay Cutler that day. I'm not sure about it, to be honest. Because Cutler was the champion and it was really, really close, I wasn't that upset to see Cutler win his second one. But Victor Martinez, if he'd won that day, it wouldn't have bothered me that much either, because he did look very, very good that day. And I don't know, Cutler might have been a little off, I'm not sure,
Yeah.
And then, 2009, Dexter was crowned champion.
2008.
He caught Cutler on the hop. I think Cutler might have, kind of like Flex Wheeler, I guess, maybe took his foot off the gas a little. And Dexter, being the blade and always being 100%, you do not slack with Dexter Jackson right on your tail, because he will get you, and that's fact. Dexter Jackson, especially around them years, the guy was I thought he was brilliant, and so I know you did too, Colin.
Oh, yeah.
2009, fairness, Jay came back to win, and deservedly so. And 2010, I think Jay Cutler was the best Jay Cutler I've ever seen. He came back so striated, so dry and so big. He was brilliant in 2010. 2011, again, the whole bicep issue, whatever it was. I personally think, even if his bicep was in good condition, Phil Heath would have still beaten him, personally, in 2011, So, the question is it going to break from the norm? We've had a lot of different winners in the last 2 years. In the last, say, 5 or 6 years, we've about three different winners. So, or will Phil Heath go on a big, big long run of 7, 8, 9 standouts? Who knows?
Yeah.
I suppose this is why bodybuilding is probably the greatest show on earth.
Here's my question for you, Craig. Out of all those guys you've listed over the last 37 years, who is the man that you would pick? Or sorry, is it 47 years? 47 years Mr. Olympia has been going. Who is the one Mr. Olympia who you say at that point in time he was without doubt the best that the best can be? So again, take into consideration the generation and the era that it was. Who was just ahead of their game before everyone else?
Alright, I suppose that's actually a really tough question, looking at that big lineup. So I suppose one thing that does stand out for me is the Jay Cutler of 2010. Better than that probably would be the 2001 version of Ronnie Coleman, which I think, I don't know, it was just probably perfection, I think. Going back years and years and years, jeez. I'm definitely not going to say the 1980 version of Arnold, because I don't think he should have won. It's tough. Frank Zane was impeccable as a champion, always. If I got to pick one, it's going to be 2001 Ronnie Coleman. If I had to pick one, how about you?
Yeah, I like 2001 Ronnie as well versus 2004. As much as he was bigger and probably sharper in 2004, his waistline also got bigger, and it didn't look as streamlined, symmetrical, and of course symmetrical is part of the judging criteria. But if I look back over all of the physiques over all of the years, I much prefer it just turns out that they're smaller, but the smaller guys who have that impeccable balance. And Chris Dickerson, 1980, he looked phenomenal. And then my favourite Mr. Olympia thus far has to be 2008 Dexter Jackson. I just cannot see how he could have not won that show. It turns out he did win the show, and absolutely deservedly so. I'm looking at a picture, front double bicep of that show right now, and there is absolutely a mirror image from left to right on this man's physique. There is no flaw whatsoever. Of course his calves always come into it, but look, the picture I'm looking at is from the knee up, so it doesn't matter. He just looked phenomenal. He deserved it. He worked hard. He was a 135-pound bodybuilder at national level when he first started, and then he comes in and wins in 2008 at 235 pounds. So over the course of 15 years, he put on 100 pounds of muscle. Now,
of proper symmetrical muscle as well.
that is like 100 pounds of muscle. As much like that is just crazy. As much as a guy might come out of school 150 or 160 pounds, 10, 11 stone, whatever, to add 100 pounds of muscle onto a frame of a man who's only 5'6". Remember that as well. He's only 5'6" tall. Unbelievable. 2008 Dexter Jackson is my favourite so far, and to be fair, he even beats out Phil Heath of last year, 2011, and a lot of people won't like that, but I have to say Dexter Jackson looked phenomenal. I've always liked his physique. I've always been bored crazy from watching his DVDs because the guy has no personality whatsoever, but well, anything I've seen, but his physique speaks for itself, and it speaks loud and clear, and it says, I am the Blade. I was 2008 Mr. Olympia champion, and Craig, I think he's going to get inside the top 5 this year.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me at all.
I really do. I think it's his last chance Sunday, and this is going to be it. He looked really, really good last year at the Masters Olympia, or sorry, the World Masters Champions as it was last year, I believe. I think that he is definitely coming back this year to place top 5. I don't see him coming anywhere near the winner circle, but top 5 I think we can see him landing there. But yeah, Dexter is my favourite of all time so far. So guys, we're going to give you basically as far as we're concerned, when it comes to the Miss Olympia female bodybuilding, so Miss Olympia or the Miss Olympia fitness or the Miss Olympia figure, as far as we're concerned, there's 2 people in each category that are going to be competitive, and it's a fight out between those. So instead of giving our top 3 or top 5, we genuinely do not believe that there's 5 people who are in the running. We think it's 2 people pretty much all the way along, and it is what it is. Craig, when it comes to female bodybuilding, we've had a couple of champions, or maybe 3 or 4 champions over the last 20 years who kind of reign supreme. The current one of those is definitely Iris Kyle. She could 100% compete in the 145 pound, 155 pound male events around the country, and she would win. She is just crazy.
Phenomenal muscle.
Crazy. And that's all she is. She's like 145 pounds, I think, on stage, so she probably wants 65, 170 off. But I mean, this woman is just crazy. Her legs, her back, her arms, she's unreal. And I have to say, for the Miss Olympia competition, as far as I can see, in my opinion at least, it's a fight out between Iris Kyle, who I believe will win again, or Yaxani Orkun Garcia from Venezuela. Anyone else, Craig, you've even consider for a top 2?
Honestly, I mean, there's probably a couple more, but they're definitely going to be the 1-2. Not sure which way it's going to go. I mean, because of Iris Kyle's dominance, we'd have to go with her 1, but Yaxani gave her a very close run last time out, so and she's younger, so she could get in there. I don't know, but it's definitely going to be a 1-2 in one way or another, and then 2.
Craig, there's only 14 women qualified for the Miss Olympia this year. 14, and that's including the top 5 point placers. So it's a very, very small show. I would imagine that all of those 14 will compete because, I mean, we've mentioned it before, women's bodybuilding is typically looking like it's on a downturn. But nonetheless,
you compare, Colin, to how many bikini competitors?
I think there's 36 qualified.
Jeez, big difference there, like.
Yeah, and the reason for that is there's way more bikini competitions per year versus the women's bodybuilding. Obviously, there's way more competitors because, look, let's be fair about it. It's a much easier category to compete in than it is women's bodybuilding. And I don't care who stands next to me and says that I'm wrong. I am very, very sorry. Women's bodybuilding is a much, much, much more difficult sport or competition to compete in than women's bikini. Hands down, not even close. Now again, I have respect for the females who are doing the bikini classes. It does take training, nutrition, and you have to dedicate to it. Fine, especially now the way it has advanced to where the women are actually in shape and they have got condition and they do have decent legs, good abs and shoulders and whatever else. But when it first came around, bikini, I mean it wasn't anything to look at whatsoever. It was just a bunch of girls in a bikini. You were not assessing their physiques. It just wasn't that type of competition. Whereas now it's it's definitely sliding a little bit more towards actual physique comparison versus how good someone looks in a bikini. And I think the name bikini takes away from the event, to be very honest. But again, look, it is what it is. Speaking of bikini, we're not going to give a prediction on the bikini category because look, there's 36 girls in there. It could be any one of 20 of those to win. We're just wasting our breath talking about it because look, we don't know if it's going to go on times past. If it's a repeat, it is. If it's a new person, look, we're not too concerned. It's not bodybuilding, so we won't worry too much about it. So then, Craig, if we look at women's figure, I mean, as far as we're concerned, again, it's two people. It's Nicole Wilkins, USA, and Aaron Stern, USA.
Yeah.
You know, the Varnum Classic wins behind them. They've got Miss Olympia wins behind them. It really is between those two again this year. I do think Nicole Wilkins will take it. I think her physique is much nicer. It's more pleasing. It's not necessarily as conditioned as Aaron Stern comes in, I don't think. But with the birth of women's physique, the girls don't have to be as hard in figure, so typically they're probably going to reward someone who's a little bit softer than normal. And I think Nicole Wilkins falls perfectly into that. She's a very good ambassador. She's always on Facebook promoting health and fitness, and quite a lot of the stuff we repost will come from her in terms of the motivation pictures that you see and the quotes and sayings. And whether it's her or somebody else that's doing it, whoever it is, you know, they're definitely promoting health and fitness out there, and I think that should be a big role of the people within the industry. It's not just make money. You gotta, you know, reach out and help one another, and you know, from there you'll create fans, and that will then generate some more income. But I think Nicole Wilkins will be this year's Miss Olympia figure. I think Aaron Stern will be in second place, and after that again there's probably 6 people who could potentially place 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Again, time will tell. It's a week away, and by this time next week we will have our champions crowned.
Yeah, I'd agree with your 1-2, but I'd flip-flop them. I'd put Aaron Stern in first.
Yeah.
Nicole Wilkins Lee in second. Or is she Wilkins Lee, or is she just Wilkins now?
She's just Wilkins lately. Now, I don't know whether that's a change in name or a change in status, meaning husband or non-husband, whatever. But
yeah, I think I think they might have broken up or divorced or something. I could be just making that up. I'm not sure, but
that'll be in the next Your Physique gospel.
There's a name issue or something, isn't there?
Yeah. As far as I know, lately it's Nicole Wilkins. But again, you know, I think she will be the winner this year in Miss Olympia figure. If we're looking at the Miss Olympia fitness, you know, the person who always wins this, and we spoke about this before coming on air, is Adela Garcia. The lady is probably, she's in her 40s now at this stage, I think. She doesn't, from the neck down, she definitely doesn't look it. She can do all of the routines that are required in the fitness. She definitely has a great physique as well. And, you know, she again she's a nice lady. I've met her as well a couple of years ago, and, you know, you can't speak ill of her. Any training videos I've ever seen of her, she trains hard. Does she deserve it more than anybody else just because she trains hard? No, not at all. I think all of these women put in their effort, and you know, they have to practice routines. And actually, speaking earlier about Nicole Wilkins, she qualified to be an IFBB Pro as a fitness competitor and also as a figure competitor. So in terms of all round, Nicole Wilkins is probably the best out there at the moment. But again, going back to the fitness, I think Adela Garcia will be this year's champ. It might be an easy one to pick because she's a reigning champion, but I think it will be the case pending something crazy doesn't happen and she doesn't mess up her routine on stage. She will be the winner. But Craig, the meat and potatoes are coming now. We've got the male open class and the male 212. Again, I'll repeat this as from earlier. In the male 212, we've got 21 competitors who will be competing. 22 were qualified, one of which was Kevin English, and as we know at this stage, Kevin English is out due to an apparent knee injury. Have you seen anything on the boards lately, Craig, to whether that is actually the case or not the case, or have we any idea?
I mean, if I was in Kevin English's PR camp, I would probably be putting out something like a little video about saying sorry, I wish I could have done it, I'll be back next year, or something along that lines. He just kind of let it out. I can't do it because I've sore quad or whatever it was, or sore knee, and that's it. And so, I mean, people aren't going to jump to conclusions, Colin. You know that. They'll be like, oh, he's afraid, he didn't think he's going to win, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. He wasn't in shape, he wasn't even close to being ready, whatever you think. Everyone will jump to conclusions unless they're told otherwise. I think I have a sore knee is a bit of a cop-out. I think, you know what I mean? And he might have a sore knee, absolutely he might, but I think he should maybe put up a couple of videos or maybe something a bit more than what he got anyway, I would think.
Well, you see, the thing is, if you do have a bum knee, the lower your condition in terms of the lower your body fat gets, or the better your condition gets, you know, the less support around the joints you're going to have from any excess fat and stuff like that. And these injuries will become more apparent as you get through your diet, and a lot of niggling and stuff will happen at that stage. You know, you don't have as much energy, you might try and lift what you used to lift and it might not happen. But definitely, if you've got any ligament or tendon injuries around the knee, you wouldn't be able to flex as hard on that leg for sure. That is definitely one downfall from it. So if he can't flex his left quad or his right quad, whichever it is, he's going to look like he's out of shape on stage. So that too would have and you know, you don't want to go up there and end up in 4th place. He's better off to sit it out and come back next year versus placing 4th or 5th, I think, this year.
Oh yeah, I'd agree with you, but I would think he should have done more PR-wise for himself than he did.
Yeah, they definitely, they should have, MD should have been on top of that. They should have posted a video of him saying, you know, guys, I'm out, and sitting down with his doctor or with an x-ray or something just to show.
There you go.
So, you know, that would be very easy to achieve. And he's in New York as well, and that's where MD is based as far as I'm concerned, or as far as I'm aware. And, you know, he's training at Bev Francis Powerhouse Gym in Syosset, New York, and the cameras are always rolling there. If somebody's in town, the cameras are there for MD. And, yeah, I think they've let down, well, he's let down his fan base. He hasn't let down me because I don't care too much either way about him, just because of his physique, not because of his personality. That's a different thing. But again, it opens up the door, Craig. We've got 21 other guys who are knocking on it nice and hard, and they've got 7 days until they stand on stage. And you know what? I watched a video last night of Jose Raymond, Craig. I posted it onto our Facebook page today. And this guy isn't doing very well financially, but it doesn't seem to be phasing him at the moment. He looks like he's getting into shape. He looks like he's in condition. Again, his physique is not something that I would pick to be a Mr. Olympia, but you can't knock this guy for his lack of effort anyway. He's one nice guy as far as I'm concerned. I would imagine you liked him because he's a Boston guy. The first person I ever spoke to at Gold's Gym in Venice was his brother Tito Raymond. I met Tito outside before going in, and then later on realised who he was in relation to his past bodybuilding career, and then that his brother is Jose, of course. You know, the really nice guys, and I do wish Jose the very best in terms of his outside of bodybuilding, the financial status, and you know, everything else that goes along with that. But I just don't think Jose is going to be contending for the Mr. Olympia this year. I don't think he ever will, to be honest. I just don't think his physique is that type. But Craig, he's not the only one knocking on that door. Who else have we got?
Yeah, Jesus. I mean, you've got the likes of Tricky Jackson, Al Augusti, Jose Raymond, Eduardo Correa, Flex Lewis, David Henry, Guy Cisternino, Derek Farnsworth. There's a load of them, like, and that 212 category is going to be a tough class. A tough class. I think it's going to be harder to pick the 212 winner than it will be to pick the open 2nd to 6th, I would think. I think the open category is a done deal. Done deal. You know, pretty much. The 212 class, you could probably honestly pick from 5 guys who could win.
You gotta pick somebody else there, Craig, who you didn't mention. I don't believe you remember. If you did, I didn't hear it. A guy who won the Sacramento Pro, who placed first ahead of Masoom Butt, and of course that's Lucas Osladel.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think he's competed since then. I think he did it. He qualified and he sat back. He's from the Czech Republic, and this guy has a physique on him that is definitely challenging the top 4 or top 5 if he comes in shape. Now again, I don't think he's going to win, but he's definitely going to be a new guy to the top 5 and top 6 this year once it's all said and done on Saturday morning. But like you said, you know, David Henry has to be considered one of the guys up here. He's the 202 champion from 4 years ago now. Of course, this is 212, so the guys have an extra 10 pounds, but there's not many guys in there who actually hang around that 212 mark, and if they do, they definitely don't have the same quality muscle as David Henry. So in my opinion, we're looking at James Flex Lewis, David Henry, Eduardo Correa. Pretty much they're going to be my top 3. Jose Raymond, of course, you know, he'll be fighting for 4 or 5, I think, but I think it's Flex Lewis, Eduardo Correa, or David Henry. They're going to be my mix-up at the moment. I'll give a proper prediction in a few moments, but right now they're my contenders. how do you see, where do you see first place, Craig? I mean, who's going to fight off all these guys and take home the first 212 crown?
All right, well, my official prediction will be Flex Lewis is going to win this. He's going to get the 212 crown, I would think. I think it's his show to lose. Now, if Flex isn't 100%, he can be taken out big time because the class is so tight. But I do think Flex will take this, and I hope he does. In second, I have Eduardo Correa, just because of the way he looked a few weeks ago. He's working with Chris Aceto, and Chris Aceto won't let him away with putting on a pound or two to go back into shape. Like, Chris will keep him ready. Like, I have Jose Raymond in number 3. Again, because of the video you posted, and I think it's going to be very, very close. Now, something I probably agree with you, Colin, about the physique. Will it ever be a 212 physique champion? I'm not quite sure, to be honest. David Henry I have in 4th, but I only have David Henry in 4th because of his kind of time away from bodybuilding, and he's only back into it. If we're looking at next year, David Henry's definitely in the mix for the top 3 for me. In number 5, I have Lucas Osladil from the Czech Republic. Now, I've seen a video of him, and that was, I think it was on Tuesday or Wednesday. I seen a video of him somewhere, and the guy is like, you look at him and you're like, how can he be a 212? Like, he was just massive, and the video was posted like, 8 days out or 10 days out or something. I can't remember where I seen it now, but so he's finishing rounding up top 5. Look, I might as well give you 6 to 10 because I got wrote out.
Go for it.
In number 6, I have Al Augusti. 7, Tricky Jackson. Number 8, I have Raul Carrasco. Number 9, Derek Farnsworth. And number 10, Guy Cisternino. How do you see it?
Well, my top 3 are pretty clear cut. After that, I'm not quite sure. Well, my top 4 are kind of clear, I have to say. Flex Lewis, definitely. Whether he looks incredible this year or not, I think he was given a disservice last year for not taking first place. And I think he definitely deserves it on that alone, and that shouldn't be the case, but I definitely think he's going to come in the shape that he needs to be anyway. However, I haven't seen any pictures of Flex with his shirt off in the past year, so again, who knows. But he's working with Neil Hill. Flex never comes in out of shape as far as I'm concerned, and I think that he definitely will be the man to beat this time round, and I don't think he will be beaten. So it's Flex Lewis to win for me. Second place, I'm looking at Eduardo Correa. He's never disappointed. He always comes in shape. He's been working with Chris Aceto, and we said this last time round, if Chris is in your corner, you have an extremely good chance that you're going to come in condition, if nothing else, and Eduardo did that last time out, and I think he's going to do it again next weekend. Third place I'm going to give to David Henry. Again, I don't think he's going to be where he used to be. As we saw 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, he wasn't at his all-time best, I do not believe. But should he come back at his all-time best, I think he's going to be fighting Flex Lewis for first. But at the moment, basing it upon last performance, I'm going to give David Henry his 3rd place position and a check for X amount of dollars. 4th place, I'm going to give it to Jose Raymond. Again, he is also working with Chris Aceto this year, and Jose typically used to get very, very heavy in the off-season. I think that he will be in shape. I think that he will be in condition. I just don't think his physique is what it is, or is what it needs to be a true 212 champion. And he's unfortunately a little bit too short to jump up to the next level because he's only 5'4" or something like that. So you can't put any more muscle really on a frame of that size with his frame anyway, because as it is, he can look a little bit blocky around the waist. But again, a good guy, but I think 4th place will be as good as he's going to hang with this year. After that, then I'd probably go Lucas Osladil for 5th. And then who knows from there on in. It's a big, huge jumble of guys. I wouldn't be surprised to see any one of them come in 5th or 6th. I think Stan McQuay is going to come somewhere in the top 10, which will be good for him. Again, he's not one of the biggest guys, but he has got a nice physique. But he doesn't pack a lot of thick muscle to it. But we'll see how it goes. But they'll be my top 5 anyway. So we got Flex, Eduardo Correa, David Henry, Jose Raymond, and Lucas Osladil in 5th. That'll be my top 5 for the 212 Mr. Olympia. And Craig, that, as I said last week, it is on the Saturday morning during the expo, so I will be there and I'll take pictures and post them as I take them to our Facebook page. So again, guys, it's facebook.com/Your Physique Radio. Stay tuned into Facebook throughout that Saturday. It's the 29th of September. And you're going to see the pictures posted on our Facebook page before you'll find them anywhere else on the internet. And that is a guarantee, because I'm going to post them direct. So there'll be no web loading or no uploading to the computer. It's going to go straight from the phone, straight onto our Facebook page. And you will find out the top 6 there just as soon as you will anywhere else, if not sooner. Craig, with the 212 done, let's just play devil's advocate here. If any of those guys wanted to jump up into the open class, not that they can, but if they did want to and they were allowed to for whatever reason, which one of them do you think would do the most damage in the open class? Or is this an obvious answer?
I don't think Jose Raymond could ever go into the open class. Correa could. Flex Lewis definitely could. David Henry definitely could. Yeah, so maybe them 3 probably, Colin, Flex, Eduardo and Henry probably.
And you think that they could place top 10 in the Open this year?
I think Flex Lewis, Flex Lewis could place in top 10. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think Flex has he'd be out muscled alright, but he wouldn't be out.
Flex Lewis could even make top 6.
I don't know about that, no.
Well, if they're judging it on symmetry and balance and overall muscle size according to the person's frame, which are supposed to be judged on, then the guy just is symmetrically nearly perfect, like.
Yeah, we'll see. That, we never know. We might be surprised and he might jump into an open show sometime, but
yeah, isn't he doing the British Grand Prix this year in the open class?
He was going to be, but they've added a 212 as well, I believe, and I think he's going to step down and do that because it kind of guarantees him a win, pretty much.
But there was always a 212, and Massoum is doing the 212.
Yeah. Maybe we'll see. I'm not sure now.
Yeah.
I know I mentioned that before, but I think it might have changed.
Alright, we can find that out when we make it official, guys, yeah. But as far as I know, I think he is anyway.
Yeah, we might actually see him compete against the big guys because, look,
yeah.
He has a fantastic physique, and he might be outsized, like you said, but for his height and weight ratio, he's definitely up there. He's not the biggest. Again, look at his height. He's probably a little bit shorter than Dexter Jackson, but Dexter's 235 on stage. So,
yeah.
Again, phenomenal physique, and I do think he will be crowned this year as 212 champion. And I'll be there in person to see it, so I'm looking forward to that. This time next week, like I said, I'll be bags packed and ready to go. Craig, any more you'd like to say about the 212 for this year?
No, just bring it on. I just can't wait. That's it.
Yeah, again, guys, it will be broadcasted on bodybuilding.com via webcast, so you can watch it live, or you can watch a replay of it the following day, and it will be left up there for about a week and a half, I believe. So even if you're going to go to the NABA Nationals, which are on the following day, so the Sunday, the 30th of September, you can always watch the replays of the bodybuilding.com webcast, and I definitely would recommend trying to watch it live, because it's better to watch it live and you don't know the results and you can make your own assumptions and predictions, and it's more fun and more entertaining, especially for me anyway. I don't know about the rest of you, but I like to watch it live if I can, even if it's the middle of the morning or the middle of the night in your case. I would recommend it. But Craig, let's get on to the big boys. It's the open category. We have 21 names who will compete, just like 212. There's 21 guys in there. Jay Cutler is not in, Victor Martinez is not in, and Cedric McMillan is not in. Other than that, I'm not aware of anyone else who has decided they will not compete, so we'll make the assumption everyone else on the list is competing. And with that being said, then I'll give a quick rundown of who's in. We've got Phil Heath, Kai Green, Dexter Jackson, Ronnie Rockel, Lionel Baiki, Branch Warren, Dennis Wolf, Evan Centopani, Mike Kefalianis, Johnny Jackson, Bill Wilmore, Juan Morel, Essa Obiad, Sean Roden, Ruli Winkler, Tony Freeman, Ben Pekulski, Hidatari Yamagishi, Baltos Abaspor, John De La Rosa, and Fred Smalls. Craig, is John De La Rosa doing this show?
I thought he wasn't, as far as I know.
Yeah, I don't think he is, and I don't know if Juan Morel is doing it either.
Yeah.
So that leaves us with, say, 19 guys to choose from. Honestly, whether they're in or not, I don't think it's going to fray the top 10 standings anyway. So Craig, during the week you posted up on our Facebook page, again it's facebook.com/YourPhysiqueRadio, and you asked a very simple question, and the question was, okay folks, it's Olympia time, we want your top 5s in both the 212 and open class. let us know what they are and we're going to read them out on the show. So to keep true to our promise, Craig, we had a couple of guys get back to us and I'll call them out. Richie Reardon, 5th place, Evan Sentapani. 4th, Branch Warren. 3rd, Dennis Wolfe. 2nd, Kai Green. In 1st place, he's picking none other than Phil Heath. Richie, I can't complain with your top 2 placings. The rest, I might. Actually, in fact, Richie, you're pretty spot on as far as I'm concerned. I'll give you mine in a moment. Pat Curran got in touch with us. He said he doesn't really care about 4 or 5 or 6, so that's okay. 3rd place, Kai Green. 2nd, Dennis Wolfe, and he also has Phil Heath to win. Connor Darby, Phil Heath in 1st, Dennis Wolfe in 2nd, Branch Warren in 3rd, 4th will be Kai Green, and 5th will be Evan Sentapani. And Kieran O'Sullivan, Phil Heath to win, Kai Green to take 2nd, Dennis Wolfe to take 3rd, Evan Sentapani to take 4th, and Branch Warren to take 5th. Craig, there's a familiar circumstance that is happening there, and it's that Phil Heath is undoubtedly the favourite in this show. I have to say, around any of the circles, around any of the chat, any of the conversation you and I have had as well, you know, we don't see Phil Heath being beaten out. I think it's a race for 2nd and 3rd for sure. I would have to say that thank you for those who did get back to us and give us their predictions on our Facebook page. And for me, Richie Reardon has it pretty much on point. Craig, what are your top 6 or top 5 at least for this year's Open Class Mr. Olympia?
Okay, so in 10th place, right? I know we're going to start the top 6, but I have a top 10 in front of me, so I'm going to call them out. Going to have Johnny Jackson. In 9th, Tony Freeman. 8th, Dexter Jackson. Number 7, Esa Obiad. And number 6, Dennis Wolfe. So that's 10 through 6. And my top 5 are Sean Roden at number 5, Evan Sentapani at number 4, Branch Warren 3, Kai Green 2, and Phil Heath at number 1.
Remind me, Craig, where Dexter Jackson is.
Dexter Jackson I had at 8th.
Okay.
At 8th place. But, you know, I love Dexter Jackson, and if he came in 3rd, I'd be delighted, or 2nd, even better again. But I don't know, there's something telling me, I don't know, he might be holding back to get another big check for the Masters, so I don't know. But look, that's that. I do think Dexter Jackson around 7th, 8th. But looking at Phil Heath, not going to lose, in fairness. Kai Green could go from 2nd to 6th easily, because he's never ever bought conditioning into Mr. Olympia, ever. So I'm putting Kai Green in 2nd, presuming he's getting it right this year now that he's changed trainers. 3rd, I have Branch Warren. Now, I know Pat Curran loves him, and so do you. I'm going to put him 3rd, right?
A little bit of sarcasm there.
just a touch, especially for Pat.
Yeah.
My God, Pat went on some rant, but I'm going to have Branch Warren in 3rd, just because he's going to bring condition, he's going to bring freaky muscle. Evan Sentapani is 4th. Again, Evan has the quality to maybe go above Branch or even Kai, but I just don't think he's, as much as I like the guy as well, he's too quiet. He's never around. He just barely does shows. I don't know, maybe it's just probably me, maybe, I don't know. Sean Roden, again, just because of his showings in August, the guy looked incredible, so definitely top 5. Dennis Wolfe I have at 6th, and Dennis Wolfe was looking big recently, looking very big, but again, I don't know, talks a lot of trash and never ever brings it either. Well, maybe he did 1 year, I think he got 4th 1 year, I think maybe that's as good as he's got. That's pretty much my top 6. I know I said through 10, but it doesn't really matter after that. How about you?
Alright, Craig, I'm going to give you a top 6 that might surprise and shock some people.
Ronnie Coleman winning.
Yeah, Ronnie's doing a comeback. 6th place, Evan Sentapani. 5th place, Branch Warren. 4th, Dexter Jackson. I believe he can get into that top 5 part. Dennis Wolfe in 3rd. Kai Green in 2nd. And Phil Heath in number 1. Now, to give a reason why, I think Evan Sentapani, he got 2nd place at the Arnold this year. I saw pictures of him that were posted yesterday. We posted a link on our Facebook page to them. He looks very, very, very good, but he does not look like he's in the top 5. So that's where he is. He's in number 6 at the moment for me. Now again, nice guy. It'd be good to see him do better, but physique-wise, I don't think he's just there just yet. Sometime in the future, potentially. Again, Branch, based upon his past experiences, I think he will get in. He's the reigning Ireland Classic champion, deserved or not, I'm not sure. But I think he will come in 5th. And if he does any better than that, I think I'll be joining Pat Kern on a flight to Vegas. Although I'll already be there, so I'll get the chance.
You can pick Pat up from the airport.
That's it, Pat. I'll be picking you up from the airport, buddy, if he's any higher than 5th. Dexter Jackson, he's 42 years old. He was a champion in 2008. He's the oldest out of my top 6 by a long way, but I do think that he will come in shape, and 4th place will be a good turnout for him. Dennis Wolf is going to surprise a few people this year around. He's going to place in 3rd. He was 4th in 2008, originally born in the USSR, moved to Germany, hence we all believe that he's German, but he's not. And now he's obviously living in Las Vegas. I think that he's got some good training partners. He's training with Robert Bernanke out there. He's got a good bit of contact with Jay Cutler as well, and there might be trading some secrets along the way. So I think that Dennis Wolf will be taking 3rd place. He's still in his early to mid 30s too, so this guy still has a good chance. I think he's only 33 at the moment. As much as he might look older, yeah, and I mean when he got on the scene first, I think he was only about 28, 29. So he's definitely got a couple of years left in him. 3rd place for him. Kai Green, we're told he's 37. If that's true or not, there's a bit of controversy around that. Why, I'm not quite sure. His best placing was last year. He came in 3rd in 2011. He didn't look his all-time best. I don't know if he will be his all-time best, but if he comes in any better than he has in the last couple of showings, I definitely think Kai can take 2nd place, and that is what I believe will happen. And of course, Phil Heath, age 32, 2011 champion, he will repeat, and he will come back again in 2013 and 14 and 15, and who knows how much further on, and keep reigning supreme. I do not see anyone out there who's going to catch up to him, or anyone who's kind of close to him at all. I think it's definitely Phil Heath's era, and he's going to do it quite well and quite stylishly too. He's going to hold on to this for quite a long time.
Cool.
Craig, I want to go back to yours there for a few minutes. I've got a couple of concerns about your vision into your top 10. And the first one comes in 10th place, and undoubtedly, that's Johnny Jackson. As much as I think his upper body is great, I do think it's very unsymmetrical to his lower half. Again, his upper body has been reported Mr. Olympia-esque, whatever, but I don't think he has the symmetry or the proportion to come in 10th. I think you're shooting at stars there, and you're missing all the way along the line.
He has been top 10 twice already, so
he
it's
has,
not
but I think since then, or in the last couple of years, I think that the competition, as much as Victor's not in and Jay's not in, I still think the competition is deep enough this year that, look, he might get into the top 10, but I wouldn't be betting money on him. I'm not going to be going to the Orleans casino and putting $50 in Johnny Jackson to place top 10.
Right, seeing as you're kind of calling me on my shots, right? go and call your own shots. Who have you got 6 to 10? Go.
Alright, so in 6th place it's Evan Sandapani, right? He's on my list. 7th place, I think I'm going to put in potentially Sean Roden. I think that would be a nice placing for him. I think he can do it. That will be 7th. I think 8, 9, 10 is going to be a fight between Essa Ovied, Tony Freeman, Ben Pekulski.
Alright, that's okay. Johnny Jackson doesn't make the top 10, and neither does Hidetada.
No.
Did you say Tony Freeman? You did?
I saw a picture of Tony Freeman, last week from his. Now again, it's a phone shot, so who knows? But he definitely looks good in the picture.
He does. Yeah, he does.
So that's why I'm basing this judgment on that, because of that last image. Now, again, times past that hasn't shown true. He looks incredible in these shots that he takes of himself, and of course they're always just that front relaxed pose. There's a lot more to bodybuilding than that. But again, it's hard to call those 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Again, it could be any one of those guys potentially, but based on times past and what I've seen and what I think the judges are going to be going for, as much as Pekulski or Freeman have not won a show this year, I do think that they have that size and the frame that can overpower the likes of Hidetada Yamagishi when all the big boys are together. Now, it's different if Hidetada is the only small guy and the rest are all big guys, and he's in condition. you got to look at that. But I just don't see Hidetada on the big day beating out Ben Pekulski or Tony Freeman this coming weekend. Any other day maybe, and I'm probably going to be proved wrong in some aspect or another, but I'm just knocking him out of the top 10 this year.
Yeah. They say it's a big man's tournament, to Mr. Olympia, you know?
Yeah.
So I can see where you're coming from there. But, it's great, like, that we're kind of going back and forth and have different views, like everyone else. Like, well, this is why it's subjective, and this is why Mr. Olympia is the greatest bodybuilding contest on earth.
It's going to be very, very tough. I can't wait to be there, to be honest. I'm very, very excited to get there. There's 3 things I'm going to make sure that I do while I'm in Vegas this coming weekend. Number 1, I'm obviously going to attend the expo, and in the expo you'll have the 212 class, so that'll be good fun to watch and be there and experience that. Secondly, I'm going to find myself a nice all-you-can-eat buffet. I'm typically looking for a nice sushi bar so I can down as much fresh fish as I can, because I enjoy a lot of sushi, and that's one of the good things about Vegas. You can get anything that you want. And then, of course, the Mr. Olympia competition itself is the number 1 reason why I'm going there. For the last 10 years I've followed bodybuilding religiously, and I finally get to go, and I'm now living here in the States, so obviously it's a lot easier and access is much more available to me, in that it's only a 5-hour drive, and I'm very much looking forward to it. The car has had its service and it's going to be rolling all the way to Las Vegas come early Saturday morning. I can't wait. Craig, you got to get out here next year for it, or the year after.
I gotta do my best. Why do my best?
Let's experience the Olympia, yeah, for sure. And of course, we're going to try and get some bits on audio as well, in terms of some interviews or snippets from some of the pros around the expo as well, and try and get some reaction to the 212 class, because, like I said, that will be going on during the expo, so there should be some open class guys spectating that too, and we'll see what they thought about and possibly get some early predictions from them before the show ends, and I'll post them up, and who knows, maybe one of those guys will be correct and we will be incorrect. Everyone has their opinions, and that's the exact same thing when it comes to the judges. They all have their own opinions. There's no real definitive answer to who should win or who should not. It's a very subjective sport, and that's part of the problem and part of the reason we love it as well, because we can always argue about the winners and losers. Craig, I'm very, very much looking forward to it. The 28th and 29th of September, Las Vegas, Nevada, here in the United States. It will be engulfed with tank tops and shorts and lots of big dudes and big girls and
protein fats
and plenty of protein farts walking around the expo, I'm sure.
There you go.
And lots of free samples too. So I'm going to do what I can for the show and get as much coverage as we can, and like I said, very much looking forward to it.
I think, look, there's not much more to be said about the upcoming weekend. I'm probably not as excited, but I'm nearly as excited, because we have at least half of our radio show going to the Mr. Olympia, and it's the next best thing that one of us can actually be there, and it's something both me and Colin have pretty much dreamed about for a long time. So I'm glad one of us is getting for it to come true for now. And I suppose, look, as I give all contact information just before, I'd like to say, like, you stay tuned to your Physique Radio guys on Facebook. You will get all the latest pictures, the latest gossip, the quickest rundown, who's placing 5th, 4th, as they're called out. You're going to find out first on our radio show. Alright? Unless you're watching it on bodybuilding.com, but if you don't have a great internet signal and you're on Facebook, log on, guys, you'll find out the winner here first.
Absolutely, yeah. So with that then, Craig, after this show, the following show will be the Shrew Classic in New Delhi in India. I would imagine that most, if not all, of the top 10 guys from the Olympia will travel over, as it's going to be a great experience both culturally and potentially financially, because there's a big prize at the end of the Shrew Classic. And as reported during the week, Masoom Butt has been granted his visa to compete at the Shrew Classic, so he's 2 weeks away now at this stage. I'm sure he was sitting nervously at the edge of his seat waiting for a phone call to say his visa had been granted, but Masoom, from us here at Your Physique Radio, we are very happy to announce that you have received your visa to compete, and we do think it's going to be a show for you, a potential win for you as well, and a quick early qualification for the Olympia 212 next year. We do know you have more competitions lined up, the British Grand Prix being one of them, and then of course the Masters Olympia, which is again in Miami, Florida in December, and possibly the Prague show as well, as far as I'm aware. So very much looking forward to see you on stage again, Masoom. Best of luck in the next 2 weeks and your trip over, and safe travels. To the listeners, again, thanks very much for tuning in. This is episode number 17. We would not be here if you were not tuning in every week, and you are continuing to do so, and our numbers are continuing to increase. So we do thank you, and for spreading the word as well. If you do not already, please repost our episodes or suggest that your friends become our friends, and we can get the word out there even more so about bodybuilding back home in Ireland and here in the United States as well. And Craig, we will have a very good preview for the True Classic. Again, once this Olympia is finished with for this year, we're going to have a good understanding of who the guys to watch are, because we haven't seen quite a few of these guys in over a year. So it'll be nice to see them on stage, and then we can make a more definite prediction for the True Classic. But until next week, Craig, if anyone wants to get in touch with us or let us know their comments or concerns about the judging as it went down at the Olympia, our contact information, what is it?
Well, if you want to contact Colin directly, go on to www.yourphysiquepersonaltraining.com. If you want to contact myself in the gym, it's facebook.com/Castlemaine Gym. If you want to contact the show, which is, this one now is going to be very important, guys, it's facebook.com/Your Physique Radio, especially this week. Or you can email us at yourphysiqueradio@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter, guys, at Physique Radio.
Alright guys, well with that then we do come to the end of episode number 17. It was our Olympia preview. We look forward to speaking back to you next week and giving you a rundown of how things went. So do tune in again next week. And until then, remember, it's your physique.
And it's your choice.
Thank you for listening to Your Physique Radio in association with irishmuscle.ie. Replays of all previous episodes can be found on iTunes, YouTube and Facebook. And for advertising opportunities, you can contact us at yourphysiqueradio@gmail.com. Your Physique Radio. It's your physique,